Hartis, a wealthy young widow, remained single at a very young age. She had developed a strong aversion to marriage, as she had married a 60-year-old man at the age of 13 in what was known as a marriage of convenience. For nearly 10 years, an image of a filthy, cursed monster made of piles of rheumatism, phlegm, cotton, Vaseline, and iodine would appear in her mind when she pictured a man. To those who said, "Young people are different. Oh, no. Won't they grow old one day? Then who will bear their troubles?" she would exclaim. Her main obsessions were cleanliness and decency. Every morning, she would clean her mansion in with her maid Eleni and her adopted daughter Gulta. And she would have her chef Mehmet shave every day. She would even make the poor boy from Bolu wear white from head to toe. Both Eleni and Gulta were extremely decent. They didn't rummage through the pantry, and they left money out in the open. And Mehmet's decency was beyond question. He couldn't even look into someone's eyes while speaking. Hartis, never leaving the mansion, inspected her employees thoroughly. She would constantly go through the rooms, climb up to the attic, and go down to the kitchen. She would say, "Be like me. Do I have any contact with anyone? Don't you dare talk to the neighbor's servants or the footmen." Touching hands is a temptation, even Mehmet strictly adhered to this advice. No guest, relative, or even a stray cat entered his backyard kitchen. Hartis would go down there 10 times a day and find him all alone by his pot. In addition to her obsession with cleanliness and decency, Hartis had a passion for high heels. She was beautiful, plump, and lively. However, because she was very short, she wore high-heeled shoes that added almost a hand's length to her height even inside the house. She would descend the stairs in one swift move with these high heels, running up and down without twisting her ankle. But eventually, she experienced dizziness. The doctor she called didn't prescribe any medicine. "The cause of all your discomfort is these heels, madam," he said. "Take them off. Wear comfortable, soft slippers made of wool. You'll have no problems whatsoever." Hartis had the woolen slippers that the doctor recommended brought to her. They were indeed comfortable. Within 2 days, her dizziness disappeared. And the pain in her knees and calves vanished. But just when her body was finally at ease, her soul experienced profound torment. Her loyal employees of 9 years suddenly had corrupted morals in just 2 days. She saw Eleni brushing her teeth with her own toothbrush, and Gulta emptying the jam jar in the pantry. She caught Mehmet eating a large plate of kebabs even though it wasn't a meat day. "What happened to them, oh my lord? What happened to them?" she would say. Within a week, she discovered more than 15 thefts and misconducts committed by her employees. And when she saw Mehmet devouring a whole pot of rice pilaf with the soldiers from the neighboring pasha's residence, she was so furious she didn't know what to do. That day, she locked everything up. "Let's see what they'll steal now." Indeed, there was nothing left to steal. The next day, she woke up a little later. When she went downstairs, Gulta and Eleni were not in sight. She walked and headed towards the kitchen. When her eyes fell on the half-open door, she almost stopped breathing. Mehmet had slumped on a short stool by the stove, with one knee for Eleni and the other for Gulta, and he had wrapped his thick arms around their waists like a rope belt. To avoid seeing this scandalous scene, Hartis immediately closed her eyes. But since she didn't have lids for her ears, she couldn't ignore their conversation. Mehmet said, "Hey Gulta, don't you bring any sweets anymore?" Gulta replied, "Everything is locked up, what can I do?" Mehmet, in a strange tone, said to Eleni, "Hey, why don't you come at night? Make halva and hide it," as he asked the question. Eleni responded, "We'll get caught. Then the lady will kick us out, and we'll struggle." A lively conversation began among them. Hartis Ham kept her eyes closed, but her heart raced as she listened with curiosity. Gulta said, "Ah, those slippers. They ruined everything. We cannot hear the lady coming at all. What should we do? We get caught no matter what we do. It was so much better before. We could hear her footsteps on the top floor because of the clattering of her high heels." As the conversation continued, she heard detailed stories of other scandals that she couldn't see herself. She couldn't bear it any longer. She opened her eyes and exclaimed, "You low, thieving, shameless people! Get out of my house now!" she shouted. She immediately kicked her loyal servants out. Afterward, every cook, every worker, everyone she brought into her house turned out to be shameless, thieving, impudent, and immoral. For 2 whole years, she couldn't find a decent person. While she had wealth and possessions and no worries, she grew weak and pale from this servant distress. She realized it wouldn't work. She put on her high-heeled shoes again. She became relieved at the thought of wearing them, even if her footsteps were heard. She stopped witnessing servants' thefts, misfortunes, and immorality. In fact, her dizziness began again. But since she thought that he would make her wear slippers without heels, whose sound couldn't be heard, she didn't go to the doctor. "At least now my heart is at ease," she would say.